Welcome back. Well, it's the story of a sexy snowman animated by a magic scarf. It debuted on Netflix last month and it held on to the number one spot for 7 straight days. The man behind Hot Frosty is actually a Sunshine State native from here on the First Coast, and he joins me now on the line. Russell Hainline, welcome.
Hi, and thanks for having me.
I'm delighted to have you. So, how surprised are you by this film's less than chilly reception?
I'm very surprised. You never quite know how something will be received. I knew I really liked it, but you never know how the masses will respond until they get a hold of it. But luckily, that everybody seems to really like it. It's putting them in the Christmas spirit.
And am I right in understanding this was something that you initially pitched as like a joke?
This was something that I did with my buddies. Sometimes you talk to your fellow writers about ideas that you think would be funny, and my pitch was always, what if when Frosty the Snowman came to life, he was a super hot dude? That was kind of the bit, and I called it Hot Frosty from the beginning. I don't know which came first, the title or the pitch. It's a very real chicken or the egg situation there, but I'm really happy that I decided, hey, you know what? I actually should write this. I did. I turned it into, some people, and the right people found it and brought it to life, and here we are.
And who knew, like, under all that snow that there was a six-pack or an eight-pack, I guess, in this case.
Something deep down inside of me said that this is what the people want. Yeah.
So you, wrote this screenplay during the pandemic, but you have a number of pieces that are in production or have been produced, including several on the Hallmark Channel. So explain to me, like, people who don't know how that works, how do you kind of get into that world, um, and what are the requirements? Like, how do you present? What are you going for? I mean, it does seem to obviously have sort of a narrative theme, the channel.
Yeah, sure. You get in by dumb luck. I feel like is the answer. I had a friend who introduced me to somebody who produces a bunch of these. I had written a Christmas script on my own, just as sort of a deviation from the stuff that I'd been writing, which was more thriller, horror, action, sci-fi stuff. But I wanted to make something that felt a little more like Chicken Soup for the Soul. I wrote it again just for myself, not knowing if it would ever get made. It got into the hands of a Hallmark producer who didn't like that one so much for the channel, but who gave me a lot of really good advice. I wrote a second script. That one got made. That was my first movie for them in Merry Measure in 2022. And ever since then, I've just kept meeting people, kept working hard, kept coming up with stories. I think that, you know, uh, outside of having it be set at Christmas and having a kiss at the end, I think there's a lot that can be done. There are certainly old tropes that people associate with Hallmark, which definitely were more true of kind of a bygone era. Sort of the pre 2021 ish, era. But I came in around 2022, and they have never told me, there has to be a big city woman who goes to a small town and meets a sexy baker, right? Like that's never been something that I've been encouraged to do. If anything, I've been encouraged to do the opposite, to find new stories, new interesting ways to give people some Christmas cheer, and to create some romance and some comedy, but not just relying on the old standbys. So the things that I've had the privilege to write, like the Santa Class, which came out last week. It's about a school for shopping mall Santas. That's a very different thing. Santa Summit, which came out last year, was kind of about a Santa costumed bar crawl, right? Like, so very different ideas than I think what people would traditionally associate with Hallmark. So, the for people who are interested in how do you get into this, it's about meeting the right people who know the right people, and then being interested in telling as many cool and interesting stories set at the holidays as you possibly can.
And so you're out, in Los Angeles right now, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
but let's explore a little bit your Jacksonville roots. I mean, you grew up on the west side of
Sure.
Jacksonville. You were kind of a movie fan from the jump?
Yeah, absolutely. I did movies. I've done theater. I went to Stanton College Prep for high school. I did theater all the time there. I wrote one acts for their Night of One Acts festival, and then I've done theater productions at Theater Jacks and at Players by the Sea.
And you, it sounds like your dad is sort of a well-known guy in this town as an attorney, um, but you were exposed to early, like, Marx Brothers movies from him, is that true?
Sure. Yes, he showed me some old movies back in the day. Yes, absolutely.
And so, did any of that kind of inform your current humor sensibility, or is that something that was just, left behind when you made the move to Hollywood?
No, I love those old movies. I mean, I've definitely expanded since then, and gotten into things like, Preston Sturges and Ernst Lubitsch and Howard Hawks and some of the masters of the old screwball comedy, Leo McCarey, people like this. And then obviously another thing that I'm sure my dad would take credit for showing me in the first place is like Bugs Bunny, like Looney Tunes. I feel like my sense of humor runs very silly. Conan O'Brien is certainly a huge influence on me. People who want something that's a little absurd, something that's light, something that's not really rooted in reality, and then trying to find a way to ground that silly thing in reality and then tell it sort of sincerely and mine as much humor out of it as you possibly can.
And you, in this most recent in the, Hot Frosty, worked with some really well-known performers, um, including Dustin Milligan of I think I'm not allowed to say the word "creep" on the air,
Sure,
and
yeah.
90210, and, so that was kind of, very well-known names. Does that change um, the viability of future scripts for you, having worked with actors that are that recognizable?
I think having more homes for my scripts, beyond Hallmark, getting to do something like Netflix, I think helps. I think more than anything, the fact that this script and this movie kind of took off a little bit more than I had anticipated. I'm hoping that that helps me find new people to meet, new possible homes for projects. I think that that would be great. I love working with Hallmark. I definitely want to continue working with Hallmark. I think they're doing outstanding stuff. I'm happy to be a part of, this sort of shift that they're going through. But having more doors open, I mean, the business is tough. So the more open doors that you have, the more people you know, the more people who are interested in reading your scripts and making your movies, the more likely it is that I get to continue to do what I love for a living. So yeah, I'm hopeful that Hot Frosty will continue to swing doors open for me. Absolutely.
How did you kind of become aware that it was gaining this sort of traction and being seen by so many people and getting, like rave, but also kind of hilarious reviews? I think I'm trying to see if there was one line that was so funny that somebody had about it. But at any rate, it was a sincerely stupid idea executed sincerely. um, anyway, that it was
Yeah,
getting such traction and that so many people were paying attention.
yeah. I mean, I should put that "sincerely stupid, executed sincerely" line on a T-shirt. I think. I really liked the response. I didn't know the degree to which it was gonna. I think maybe I started to realize when I tweeted, just kind of as a joke, that the Rotten Tomatoes score was very high, and I tweeted, it's higher than The Godfather is right now. In your face, The Godfather. And then suddenly there were articles written about how Hot Frosty has a higher Rotten Tomatoes rating than The Godfather. I was like, oh boy, this might be taking on a life of its own. And then Ryan Reynolds did a parody of it for his gin line. I was like, boy, if we've got Ryan Reynolds' attention, then maybe maybe this is going okay. Maybe this is creating a wider reach than anticipated. And then they mentioned it on SNL a couple weeks ago, which was insanely cool.
Is that
So
right? Oh, that's great.
yeah, yeah. I mean, who knew? But I'm very happy. And as somebody who really advocated for that title to remain the title from day one, and to make it all the way through, and I feel very vindicated, and I'm very happy that Netflix and the good people there agreed with me and decided to take this title all the way home with us.
You really had to fight for it?
There were people along the way. I mean, it took a couple of years to get made, and there were people we were told explicitly who would not read it. Period, because of the title. They were like, "This is not something we would ever be interested in. Something called Hot Frosty. What is this?" We definitely showed it to at least one actor who was like, "What is this? This is stupid." Who didn't end up reading the script. I think both Lacey and Dustin as a credit to them, when they read the script, they sort of realized within a couple of pages, oh, this is a real movie. This is not a isn't this stupid tongue-in-cheek thing. This is a movie where we're going to care about the characters and try to build something that actually, might resonate emotionally with people. So yeah, that's a long answer to your question, but it's been a crazy journey. Absolutely.
And can you tell us what you're working on now? Also, just ideally, what you would like to work on in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on movies for hopefully that will happen in Hallmark and or Netflix in 2025. You never know until they're actually on the air, but I would love to continue to work with both of them. I'm trying to find the right projects to make their way to your screens once again. And then I would love to branch out. I've got, like a martial arts action movie that I really love that I would love to see made in the near future. That's a genre that's very near and dear to my heart, and I think it'd be really funny if my IMDb page is all of these sweet Christmas romances, and then a hard R-rated martial arts action adventure. I think that'd be a really nice little cherry on top of what's been a really cool and set so far.
Yeah. Well, Russell Hainline, big congrats. Thanks for joining us today to talk about the reception and the success of Hot Frosty.
Thank you so much, Anne. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right.